Grab your cup. The true essence of who you are, of who we all are, is our soul. That's the true nature of us. So it's not our physical body, it's not our personality. You've probably heard this. You're a soul in a human body, right? Who we are is a soul. It doesn't matter what happens to my body. If I lose this leg, it doesn't change who I am at a soul level. It just changes how I can use my body or what my body can do. But who I am is my soul. It's not your personality. Your personality are just the traits that you've acquired, that you've adapted to use, that you found work for you, that make you feel comfortable going through your life. But that's not the true nature of you either. It's your soul. And the soul, the true essence of all of us, is that we are love. We are love. We come from love. We were created from source love energy. We are love, and we are worthy, and we are here to have a life experience whose very essence is love. But we forget that. And when we forget that, and when we've had trauma, it actually creates a fracture in our soul. So let me first quickly remind you what trauma really is. Trauma is not the thing that happened to you, whether it was growing up in an alcoholic household or having a terrible relationship or being with a narcissist who was abusive or having a loss. That's not the trauma. The trauma is what you decide about yourself and what you decide about the world as a result of those events. So when those events happen, you navigate through them and you experience them and you make a decision about yourself. That's really the trauma, because that's the ongoing impact of that event. All right? So when we have trauma and it changes how we see ourselves, which can happen when we're very, very young. It could happen when we're 5 years old, 4 years old. It can happen when we're 35. It doesn't matter when it happens, but something happens and we decide, life is scary, I'm not good enough to do this, I must not be lovable, that person would never have done that to me if I were actually lovable. Or we collect all the evidence, look at my life, relationships never work out, I've lost this and now I can't feel happy again. I can't trust that the outcomes are going to come. Those are the beliefs that we take on. And when we take on beliefs that are not a matchup for our true essence, which is love and trust, we have a soul fracture, right? It actually fractures our soul. Here's some clues that can tell you whether that's happening for you. Number one, I think this is maybe the most impactful. You don't know how to feel. You're not sure how you're supposed to feel. You don't really recognize your feelings. You don't trust yourself and your feelings. That's probably the biggest. Speaking of trust, you don't trust other people. You're not really willing to 100% trust, and it shows up in your relationships. There's like a guardedness all the time. You don't trust in life. You don't really think that what you want is going to happen for you. So the lack of trust. It also shows up in an underlying current of sadness. There's a sadness there because you're not connected to your soul, because there is a fracture at the soul level. So an underlying sadness, it could look like depression, it could look like anxiety, because that lack of connection has you always worried about what's going to happen and how it's going to turn out. It's driven from that lack of trust, okay? So when you have a soul fracture, it's really important to heal that. If you just work on, all right, let me change my circumstances, let me get in some new relationships, let me work on myself, but you don't address the fracture at the soul level, that underlying current of sadness doesn't go away. The trust doesn't come back. You've got to heal at a soul level. That, I believe, is the biggest impact of people who've gone through trauma, whether it's a narcissistic relationship, somebody else treated you in a way that was hurtful, that was abusive, whatever life has brought you. It's that fracturing at a soul level that has to happen for you to really be able to step out into your life again. So that's the connection between trauma and your soul and what a soul fracture is. And I hope you see that it's just as important as anything else you want to take on for creating your life to be great. Soul work is so important in what we do. Have a good day.